Good evening, everyone. I'll call this Board of Alderman meeting to order. If you please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, can I have a roll call, please?
Alderman Bowman, absent. Alderman Bachman. Here. Alderman Reese, absent. Alderman Long.
Here.
Alderman Dickerson.
Here.
Alderman Milner, absent. Alderman Turner.
Here.
Alderman Levison.
Here.
Mayor Hess.
Here, and we do have a quorum. Good evening, everyone. We do have a ceremonial matter tonight. We have members of the FFA here this evening with us. If they'd like to come join me up here, please. Go ahead and line right up here. All right. Well, we were going to do this Monday, but of course everybody knows with the bad weather, we had to postpone, so I'm very glad you all were able to make it tonight. I know you didn't have school again. I'm sure you were all very disappointed with that. We have a proclamation tonight for you, so I'm going to read that this time. I can, we will. National FFA Week, February 17th through the 24th, 2018. Whereas FFA and agricultural education provide a strong foundation for the youth of America and the future of the food, fiber, and natural resource systems. And whereas FFA promotes premier leadership, personal growth, and career success among its members. And whereas agricultural education and FFA ensure a steady supply of young professionals to meet the growing demands in the science, business, and technology of agriculture. And whereas the FFA motto, learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve, gives direction and purpose to those students who take an active role in succeeding in agricultural education. And whereas FFA promotes citizenship, volunteerism, patriotism, and cooperation. Now, therefore, on behalf of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Harrisville, I, Mayor Brian Hassig, do hereby designate the week of February 17th through the 24th, 2018 as FFA Week in Harrisonville. So, if you give all a big round of applause.
Actually, if the mayor would go in the middle of them.
I can do
and
that.
kind of circle around a little bit.
Why don't you gentlemen hold that? I'll stand here since you guys are probably taller than me.
You're behind the post.
Yeah, we got this side. You come in a little bit.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
They'll be in the same order.
Sure. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you for coming this evening. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Mayor. Anytime. Good to
Yes.
see the students. Appreciate it.
Yes.
Appreciate it. All right. That's always an enjoyable moment, seeing the young adults of our community come out. That's the only ceremonial matter we have tonight. At this time, I will open the floor to public participation. Anybody who has anything to bring before this board that is not on our already scheduled agenda, you may step forward at this time. Seeing no one, I will close the public participation. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes. Tonight we have minutes from the regular meeting of February 5th, 2018.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Dickerson and a second from Alderman Levison. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Moving on to our agenda items. First tonight we have an appointment to the Board of Zoning Adjustments for Jennifer Peters. She has submitted an application, I believe it's in your package, and we do have a couple vacancies there that we are much needed to fill. Well, I'll need a motion if.
I'll make that motion that we approve.
Second. A motion from Alderman Dickerson and a second from Alderman Long to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And appointment is approved. Next item is support for the STEP grant application. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Aldermen. Before you tonight is the annual STEP grant application. This is through MoDOT. We've done this for, I think since 2002 or somewhere back then. But they give us, this year we're requesting $10,800 to support our traffic enforcement program. They pay that so that we can pay the officers overtime to go out and work the streets and try and make it a little bit safer. We're asking this year for $1,800 for DWI enforcement, $5,400 for hazardous moving or speeding violations, and $3,600 for occupant or seatbelt violations. This is paid first by the city and then reimbursed on a monthly basis. Like I say, we've done this for many years. We've been very successful. We need your support. All you need to do is sign the support application that was in the packet to move forward on that. Entertain any questions?
Any questions? No? You need anything besides our signatures? And no
Just your
approval?
signature.
All right, well, I think that's been making its way around, so good enough.
Should be 3 different ones.
Okay,
Yep.
yep.
Thank you.
All right, very good, very good. All right, Council Bill 15.
Council Bill 15, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the City of Harrisonville, Missouri, to authorize the city administrator to execute a purchase agreement for one 2018 Jeep Compass Sport 4x4 from Capital Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram of Jefferson City, Missouri, in an amount of $21,208.
We budgeted $24,000 for a vehicle for the building division. We've got a Ford Escape and a Chevrolet Trailblazer. We're looking to move the Escape out of that department and maybe setting it aside if it keeps it running. So we went through the state bid process, saw the least expensive, that's the smallest Jeep. They wanted to get an SUV. We also looked at trucks, but the trucks were a little bit more expensive. So we looked at the smallest SUV available, that's the Jeep Compass. And through the state purchasing group, then it comes out of Capital Jeep, so that's where the purchase would be. I believe there's a Jeep dealer up in Raymore or Belton, maybe it's Belton, I'm not sure where that line is exactly, but we can get it repaired there. But that's the cooperative purchasing group that we have to go through.
This was a budgeted item. If you remember that the, this department was dealing with a couple vehicles that had kind of had some maintenance neglected and had mechanical issues, high miles. They hadn't had a new vehicle in quite some time, so that's why we opted to budget this, so it was a budgeted item. And it is underneath budget, so that's a good thing.
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
I have a motion from Alderman Dickerson and a second from Alderman Turner. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Council Bill 15 will become Resolution R09. Council Bill 16.
Council Bill 16, a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement with Feld Fire Equipment to purchase a Stryker powered load system and PowerPro XT power cot for the Emergency Services Department at a cost of $39,000.
Good evening, Mayor and full Alderman. This is a replacement of a manual cot that we had with it. Basically, that's what they call a stat track system, and it basically locks it down on the floor, makes it triple K, federal triple K, and so on and so forth. This is comparable and basically the same units we put in the last ambulance we bought on the 2017 budget. Basically, like I said, for people that don't know what it is, it's basically a power cot. It also has what they call a power load system. It basically comes out of the back of the ambulance. Yet the crew has to pull it out, and they have to hook the cot into it. Basically what it does, they just push the buttons and it lifts the patient in the ambulance, and all they have to do is just push them in on the slide, and they slide in and lock it in the floor on actually the power load themselves. The original, like I said, in the items for the budget, excuse me, the original bids that I got on during the budget process was done in October. The price of the cot was They quoted me a little bit shortfall, 35,000 initially. In November, after my stint of being off, I was contacted by Stryker Medical, which is one of the people that submitted a bid, and advised that Stryker is going to have a 4% increase at the end of the year. So thus it, to appropriate basically a cot and a power load system is going to cost more than 35,000. So on the 5th of, I believe it was the 5th, yeah, the 5th, I'm sorry, the 9th of February, we did sealed bids here at City Hall, and got 2 bids submitted. One was from Feld Fire. It's basically a demo unit power load system, which came in a little bit more of a discounted price. It was only used about 30 days in an ambulance demo for at an EMS expo. The power cot will be a brand new cot, which came in a little bit lower, comparable to the Stryker bids. Basically the amount that went over budget was 39,000, was 4,000 over budget, and these are going to be paid for basically out of safety funds through NPR. They've been pretty good in the past at saying they don't understand why we don't have them anyway. So that's all I really got. You have any questions about?
So we're purchasing 2 of these, or is it, it's all one, it's all one
Just-
unit?
it's
basically?
all one
Okay.
unit.
Okay, I've just seen the one,
You
okay.
can buy them separately,
Okay.
but it makes no sense to
Now
do it
this,
that way.
and this is going on the 3rd ambulance, right? We have them on the other 2, is that?
We only have them on one ambulance
Oh,
right
this
now,
is
which
the-
is the new one.
This is the additional one,
So
okay,
this one
okay,
is-
yeah.
And this will be the 2016 chassis. that
Okay.
we have, which is.
The new ambulance we bought, we got it at the same time, correct? So this is to equip the other, okay. Do we need any type, well, we need a budget amendment later for?
Yes.
So we'll cover that at a,
And it'll be covered because we'll show a revenue source, the NPR funds,
Mhm.
and then you'll have your expenditure that will equal out.
Mhm.
So, is this the same as the other one?
Yeah.
Okay. And we haven't had any problem with it, I mean.
No, and I did talk to, this is probably beyond the scope of what we're talking about, I did talk to Stryker rep today, and he did state that he's going to submit a bid of something for a 6-month annual maintenance, preventive maintenance on the thing. The cot itself will come with a 1-year warranty on it, and it's kind of like an inspection on a car. You try to get it done every year to make sure it's safe and stuff, so.
The advantage is that now your ambulance technicians don't have to lift.
And they're rated for like 650 to 700 pounds.
Yeah.
And we picked up some pretty hefty people with it. And of course, it doesn't like it, but it's saved a lot of backs.
I mean, I don't see an issue if, you all wanna approve and we approved it in there. We can't help if somebody raises their price from the time we budget to the time to now, so.
We don't need a second reading, right?
Nope, this is a resolution.
Make a motion to approve.
All right, I got a motion from Alderman Turner,
A second?
second from Alderman Levison. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Council Bill 16 become a resolution R10. Council Bill 17.
Council Bill 17, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the city of Harrisonville, the Highway 71/291 Partners in Progress Transportation Development District, and RLP Development Company, Inc., for the construction of improvements to Landmark Plaza. That's it.
Yep. All right.
Where RP Lumber is, RLP Development owns that shopping mall. As part of the TDD that covers that area, they were helping with some of the access points into that facility because of the changes to the intersection. One of the spots they had appropriated money was for the entrance that goes by Sherwin-Williams. Between the time that whoever the previous owner was and RP bought it, nothing had been done. And then RP sat on it for a while because I'm not sure if they knew what they were going to do with the mall. So now they've moved in, they've got the lumber store there, they're starting to redo some of the outside. Now they need to make an improvement, and because there's money available, they need to make that improvement to Plaza Drive so you can have good access to get into that, into the mall. because it's really tight right now. So we're looking at creating 3 lanes, moving parking spaces to the north. But to help offset that cost, you've got money allocated from the TDD. So it's an incentive for them to make the improvement. So we are a part of this agreement because our Public Works Department, in particular, Eric Patterson watches over to make sure when they make that investment, who they hire, when they get because they have to put the money up front, it's a reimbursable. When they submit for reimbursement, we check to make sure everything was done correctly, oversee the project. So that puts us as part of the TDD, part of this agreement. So the request is that the mayor sign his part of that agreement, along with the TDD chairman and RLP Development. RLP has signed off on it. You've got a copy of that in your packet. The agreement has been changed a little bit, and it was cleaned up instead of having the handwritten RLP stuff in that first paragraph. But it's essentially the same.
I got a quick one. Did we ever resolve the water line issue that went across that driveway back, 3 years ago?
It's not really an issue, it's a private water line,
Mhm.
so it's not the city's to maintain.
So,
I know they would
mean,
like us to, but it'll stay private,
It will stay.
yeah.
Okay.
And this is good, we want to do this because they're coming off of our right of way, and we want to ensure it's done to our standard.
So if they have to tear up that again to replace it, is that their cost?
That's
to
all
fix
on
it?
them, this is just the initial upgrade, since we took away their right-in, or left-in, left-out with the median. The TDD thought this was a good idea to pay for part of their new entrance.
We had requested that they move it or something, didn't we, and make a new entrance for the water line for
No.
us to service?
Uh-huh.
I might add that the contract does indemnify, the developer indemnifies the district and the city with respect to a number of different items in the agreement as well. So this is more administrative as anything else with respect to the city's part here.
I don't see an issue with making improvements out there, that's for sure, that you need to help the traffic flow. I know it's different, and there's a lot more people coming in that way than used to. I know I go in and out that way a lot more than I used to, because it's just more convenient, so.
I make a motion that we approve it.
Okay,
I'll second it.
motion from Alderman Dickerson, and a second from Alderman Long. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Council Bill 17 will become Resolution R11. Council Bill 18.
Council Bill 18, a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of Harrisonville, Missouri, authorizing the city administrator to execute a contract with Second Wind Exercise Equipment, Inc. in the amount of $27,255 for the purchase of fitness equipment.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the board. My presentation's going to cover both of the resolutions, really, because it's kind of mixed in together. But first of all, I would like to say thank you to the city administrator and the city attorney for their work on this. It was quite tedious, I think, and I really appreciate their working through this for us. We just completed the previous 3-year lease on 6 treadmills, which we now own. So this is really a continuance of the equipment lease purchase program. As stated in your memo, the fitness equipment for the community center is part of the 2018 budget. And staff received 5 bids for the equipment, which is listed in your memo. This equipment complements our current fitness equipment at the community center and replaces older equipment with higher maintenance costs. The low bid is Second Wind Commercial Division with a total of $27,255. This is set up on a 3-year lease, so the annual payment is $10,104, and that is under the budget for that amount. As recommended by Second Wind Commercial, the financing is through Geneva Capital at 6.9%. Staff checked with local banks, and they either did not offer lease financing or they declined to bid. Staff and the park board recommends this purchase and process, and I will answer any questions you may have.
I just might add, even though it's a lease purchase. So essentially, the city buys the equipment, then just makes the rental payments, and when they're done, the title is essentially in the city's hands. The only thing that Geneva is taking, which will be the next resolution, is a security interest to make sure that their lease is paid. Essentially like a loan that you're paying off. The city owns the equipment. And that's some of the things that we sort of went a little round and about with to make sure that we had the right type of agreement with them. In fact, the first agreement they sent over had a guarantor. I'm not sure who was going to, whether it was the mayor or the city administrator they thought was going to guarantee the contract. But,
He was gonna sign that one, not me.
but we got it all squared away, and I'm also going to prepare, the city administrator and I discussed, sort of an acknowledgement, because there is a warranty with the equipment,
Yes, there is.
to make sure that once we have acceptance, that it's clear that they're binding themselves to that maintenance and warranty. I think it's 3 years.
It's 3 years on parts for all the equipment, and 3 years labor on the matrix equipment, and 1 year's labor on the octane equipment. It's 2 different types of equipment, but 3 years is the main warranty on that.
I make a motion to approve.
A second.
All right, I have a motion from Alderman Dickerson and a second from Alderman Leverson. Is there any further questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And Council Bill 18 will become Resolution R12. Council Bill 19.
Council Bill 19, a resolution authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement with Geneva Capital LLC for a master equipment lease and sale agreement for the city of Harrisonville, Missouri, and establishing an effective date.
Questions about this one?
Make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion from Alderman Dickerson and a second from Alderman Long. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And Council Bill 19 will become Resolution R13.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. And Mr. Deal, I'd like to compliment the rest of the fitness equipment out there. Looks very nice with the new coverings. If you haven't been out there, the old orange covering is now got a new black material that looks very nice. The equipment looks newer.
Yes,
So,
thank you.
looks very nice. That is it for our agenda items tonight. Alderman committee reports. Alderman Bachman, you get to go first tonight. No. Alderman Dickerson.
Nothing.
Alderman Long.
Oh, I'm good. Just trying to get my charger. Fixing the car there.
Alderman Turner. Alderman Leeson.
Not unless you want to hear about show choir. Go to
Well-
Minnesota next weekend.
Well, that's good.
Hopefully we'll have good weather.
Yes.
That's our update is,
There you go.
is through you. So
And we've
go
been doing
music
great.
makers. That's right. Very good. Mr. Welch.
You've got my updated report, you got any questions, let me know.
No. I think we've all had our fill of the cold and nasty weather. I want to compliment the street department on keeping our roads clean and our electric department for getting everybody's electricity back up in what I consider a pretty reasonable amount of time. The people that complain, I feel, go to the city and see how long it'll take to get your power back on. I know, I think they kind of get spoiled here sometimes, that we do get it on a lot quicker, I think, than a lot of places do, because we do have our own crews, so I think they did a great job. Glad to hear show choir did good. I know we've had a couple of wrestlers in town that made it to state and did very well. I believe they both finished second at state, which is a huge accomplishment when it comes to wrestling, so. Yeah, I believe our crew and, is our equipment back from?
Yes, everything's back.
Yeah, so, that was definitely, I'm glad we were able to do that. That was a good thing. I think they, the story I read, I think Mr. Minnick had in the paper about that they learned, we had a crew member that learned a lot way down there, that, it takes maybe a year to learn what he did in a few weeks down there because he was just exposed to it, so I guess there was a unforeseen benefit to sending them down there, and so glad they were able to.
Without power 4 months.
Yeah, 4 months. Yeah, at least they're in a tropical climate though. Don't know that I would trade that, but no, from what I understand, the people down there were very gracious and they were treated very well, and so glad we were able to do that and participate in that program. We were recently at the MML Legislative Conference. There's not a lot going on again this year that's affecting municipalities. They are trying to work on a new Senate bill that would help improve our courts. They had passed a couple last year, I believe it was the year before, that really dinged us on enforcing municipal violations and what the municipal courts are able to charge. And it was basically a target at one city, and they were able to, they didn't realize the unforeseen consequences, so we're hoping maybe they'll make some improvements there. We're fortunate it hasn't affected us nearly as much as some communities, but it still has had an impact. But it was definitely an interesting experience. Got to sit in on the Senate committee hearing, and I actually got up and said a few choice words in favor of it, so anyway. Happy made me do it.
I just filled out the form.
Well, yeah, you were there for something, right? So, but no, it was a good conference, and glad to have been able to make it. So that's all I have this evening. Sure.
Since we're on, I'd like to give a shout out to our Olympic athletes. It was really exciting to watch the first cross-country gold medal ever by the American ladies last night, and then women's hockey team beat the Canadians on a shootout, which if you haven't seen it, go online and look at it. It's exciting. My dad was a big hockey fan, so grew up watching that. So
did we have a men's cross-country that won a gold too, or? Because they were playing an excerpt from whoever had won, and they crossed, and the announcers were just going nuts. I mean, it was insane, the excitement. They said, can we get them to call ice skating, because it would make ice skating more exciting. I mean, they were really into it. So
that was the gals.
Okay, yeah, I know it was a big deal.
It was showed an awful lot of heart. It's so impressive to see these athletes get one chance every 4 years and put everything on the line. It's just gives me a big charge to see them do it. It's great for the country too.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
They're
So,
twin sisters or something, wasn't it?
I think it was a group of 4, wasn't it?
Well, there was two, they were twins or whatever. One of them hit the tying to make it go into overtime.
In the hockey.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were twin sisters, because I watched them on Good Morning America.
Well, we've been watching. We watched Lindsey Vaughn got the bronze. I know she was hoping for more, but that's pretty impressive to go through what she did and come back and still get up on the podium. So, pretty exciting. I agree. So, all right. Anybody have anything else?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second that.
I have a motion from Alderman Dickerson and a second from Alderman Long to adjourn. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Good night, everyone.